Okay, what I'd like you to do is download the files for week 9. So please go to the modules, go to the week 9 weekly files, and please download these files. Week 9 right here, please download those to your desktop. Okay, in the folder that I had you download, I've got 4 images. Please copy those images and put them in your image folder. I'm going to go ahead and select them, and I'm going to go edit, copy. I'm going to open up my USB, Art116, my name folder, my image folder, and I'm going to paste those in. Okay. Okay, we're going to create another layout. The more you do this, the better you're going to get at it. This one's going to be a little bit more complex, so if you don't have Dreamweaver open, please open up Dreamweaver. Create a new document, new HTML, create. Go ahead and save this document to your USB, Art116, your named folder, and you can call this week 9 layout and save it. Also go ahead and create your style sheet and attach it to this document. Okay, new document, CSS, create. I'm going to go ahead and save it. Navigate to my USB, Art116, my name folder, my CSS folder, and I'm going to call it week 9 styles and save. All right, back to my layout. I need to attach that file. Opening up my CS Designer, clicking on the plus, attach existing. I'm going to browse to the file I just saved. What did I call it? I called it, where is it? Oh, it's right here. Okay. And okay. All right, we're going to create the layout. Okay, now we're going to create the layout. Just so you know, this is what we're going for right here. I'll go ahead and preview it. All right. Going back to Dreamweaver, I'm going to set up the divs. I'm going to have a div for the image here, a div for the navigation, a div for the sidebar, a div for this section, and a div for the footer, and then I'm going to put a background image. All right, so we need to set up those divs. So I'm going to go ahead and go Insert, Div, and this is going to be my container div. And this time maybe I'll use an ID. So I'll come down here and I'll do container. Again, there's nothing different. Let me spell that right. You can use either a ID or you can use a class. Usually class are better for boxes, and the ID is better for boxes and the class is for more styling. The IDs are stronger than classes, meaning they can overwrite something that a class has already applied. So just like in cards, this would be a king and this might be a jack or a queen. All right, inside that div, I'm going to create a header. So giving myself some room. I'm going to go Insert, Header, and I'm just going to say OK. After the header, I'm going to insert navbar, navigation. After the navbar, I'm going to do a section. After the section, I'm going to do a aside, insert aside, and then I'll do a footer. Again, making sure everything is between the beginning of the container div and end. So I'll go Insert, Footer, and say OK. Now the first thing I think I'll do is I'm going to set up selectors for all of these. So I'm going to open up my CSS designer and create selectors for them. Okay, I've already got my style sheet attached. I'm going to click on the container and add the selector. I'll come back and fill in the formatting. Make one for my header. I'm going to make one for my nav, my section, my aside, and my footer. Okay, now I can go ahead and do some formatting of those. All right, the container I'm going to make 940. So I'm going to select the container, layout, the width, pixels, and I'm going to make it 940. Okay, oops, 940. Okay. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the header, and I'm going to make that 160. Actually, I'm going to leave it 160, but I think the image is slightly bigger than that. And I'm going to go to the height and make it 160. Then I'm going to go to the section. Oops. Going to go to the section, and I'm going to have the section and the aside float. So I have to make them small enough so they're going to fit in this 940. So what I'm going to do is make the section 600. The aside, I'm going to make 300. Oh, not width, but height. No, it is width. 300. Okay. I'll do the footer. And I'll make the footer, I'll keep it fairly small. I'll make the height maybe 30. Now what I want to do is I want to float the section and the article, just like I did here in this example. Back to my layout. I'm going to float the section to the right. I'm going to float the aside to the left, and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to clear the footer. Clear both. All right, what I'd like to do is have some lorem ipsum in here. So I'm just going to pause for a second and grab some lorem ipsum. Okay, I'm back. All I did was I hit the return key and I paste in just some filler text here just to use. In my layout. All right, next what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and put my image in my header. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this text, and I actually don't need this text either. So I'm going to get rid of that, get rid of this, and I'm going to go Insert Image. I'm going to navigate to my image folder, oops, my USB, Art116, name folder, and the Yoko banner. I'm going to put that in there. Okay. I want to center this layout, so I'm going to go ahead and go to my CSS designer, and I'm going to do the container, and I'm going to do margin auto, right and left. All right, now we got some formatting to do. Okay, what I'd like to do is give my container a background color, because I'm going to put an image in the background of the body tag. So I'm going to go to the CSS designer. I'm going to go to the container, the background color, and I'll pick just a nice kind of calm. That's pretty good. Now I want to put an image in the background. I've given you an image and I need to do that to the body tag. So I'm going to add the body tag. Oops, it's not the body tag. So I'm going to type in body. I'm going to go to the background properties. I am going to look for the image. I gave you this image and it's called dark wood. Okay, there we go. It's coming together. What I'd like to do next is maybe I'll deal with the navigation bar. Give that another color. I'm going to add background color. Maybe I'll do one that's slightly darker. Okay, and maybe I'll give that a width as well. I'm sorry, not a width, but a height. Okay, I'm going to deal with the footer. Not real fond of the color I selected, but anyway, I'm going to go to the background color, and I actually like that color. Maybe I'll duplicate that color. Okay, I want that text in that footer to be white, so I'm going to go to my text and I'm going to pick white. Okay, now I'd like all my text to be the same, and what I can do is put my text properties on the parent. In this case, what's the parent is the container, but the body is the container of everybody. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go into text and I'm going to pick a font family. I'm going to pick this one because I actually like Georgia, and I'll do a line height, maybe like 22, maybe a little bit bigger than that. Okay. What I'd like to do next is I want to make these H3s. So I need to make sure they're no longer paragraphs. So I'm going to open up my property palette and change, oops, that is not my property palette. Window properties, and change the format to an H3, and do the same thing for this one. All right. Next, what I'd like to do is I'd like to move all this text over. And actually, one thing I'm forgetting to do, I need to have that universal selector that zeroes out all the properties. So I've actually given you this, but I'm going to go ahead and type it in. I'm going to come up here, and that property is the star, which is the universal selector. And I need a curly bracket, and Dreamweaver gives me the second one. And what I want is margin 0, margin, and I want 0, and I need semicolon. I'm going to hit the return key, and then I'm going to do padding, colon, 0, semicolon, and I'm going to do outline, colon, 0. Again, this is zeroing out defaults, and semicolon. All right, got that in there. All right, let me take a look at it in preview mode. All right, I'd like a little bit more text here, so I'm going to add a little bit more text. So I'm going to come down here and I'm just going to grab maybe another line, and I'm going to hit the return key and paste that text in, just so I have a little bit more text, and maybe just hit a hard return there. All right, I need to deal with this navigation system. So what I want to do is create an unordered list. So I'm going to get rid of that text and type over it. I'm going to do home, contact, what else should I type? Catering, home contact, and maybe they give classes. Oops, I spelled that one wrong. And about. I'm going to make it an unordered list. Okay, because I zeroed out the defaults, I'm not actually getting that margin. Okay, you can see those bullets, so I'm going to have to deal with that later. And I also want to make that in line, that unordered list. I'm going to go back to my CSS designer, and I'm going to deal with the navigation. Okay, I'm going to put my cursor in the nav here, and I'm going to add a selector. I'm going to pause because I have a train going by. I'm going to continue with the nav. I'm going to add a selector, and I want to target the nav bar and also the unordered list. So I am going to add a selector. I don't want container, but rather I want UL for unordered list. I also want a selector for nav and the list items. And I want a selector for the list items, the nav, the list items, and the anchor or the active link. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do the formatting for them. And what I want is I'm going to do this first. I think I'm going to do this one first. I'm going to do the display inline, sit on top of each other nicely. Then what I'm going to do is maybe I'll add some padding to the unordered list. I'm going to do maybe 5 pixels here on the top, 0 here, make sure that gets in there. I want to do 5 at the bottom, and 5 on the side, the right side. Okay, maybe I want to move that in a little bit more, but I can change that later. I already did the list. I did that as inline. Did I do margin on that? I do want to do some margin. So maybe on the right, I'll do 40 pixels. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to deal with the links. I'd actually want that to be white. So I'm going to go to the text properties and I'm going to pick white. Oh, I forgot. I know what I did. I actually forgot to make them links. All right. I'm going to need that later, so maybe I'll go back to that, but I need to make these links. So I'm going to go back to, I'm actually in live view, not sure why. I'm going to come down here, open up the property palette. That is not the property palette. And I've got that selected, and I'm going to do pound in here. Go over here. It's already picking up the styling. And pound. Pound. I think I missed the T. Need to undo that. Get the whole thing. Pound symbol. Catering. Pound symbol. Class. Maybe that actually should be classes. Pound symbol. About. Pound symbol. Okay, now they turned white because I had already pre-did the styles for them down here. Okay, I actually have to get rid of some of the space here. I actually made that too big. All right, it's actually only 130, so I'm going to come back to the header and change that size to 130. All right, so that snaps into place. Now I want to do the aside and move that text away from the edge. So I'm going to go ahead and add some padding. Okay. Move that over. I still want that nav bar to be over a little bit more. Yeah, it's a little bit better. I want to match them. So what did I do with the side? I did 17. I'll come back here. The S side and 17. Okay, actually it's lined up. All right. What I want to do is I want to format the H3. So I'm going to add a selector for that. Go into the text and give it a font size. Way too big. Maybe like 18. All right. Now that was doing the H3 in the aside. So if I want to do the H3 in the section, I have to create a selector for that. So I'll go ahead and put my cursor here, add the selector, and what size? I made it 18. I'll come over here and make it 18 as well for font size. Okay. I don't need quite so much text here, so I'm going to get rid of some of this text. All right, let me go ahead and preview. Okay, now what I did was I hit a hard return here, but keep in mind that the default formatting is for the H's to have actually a padding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and fix that the right way. And I'm going to open up my CS Designer. And then what I want to do is to go to my H3 here. go into my designer and put a little padding here. I'm sorry, margin, a little margin here. All right, maybe I want to make sure I'm doing the same. I'll do 15 and I'll do 15 here. And I'll do the same for the selector for the H3 in the section. And I'll do a margin of 15 and a margin of 15. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add those images, those extra images. I'm referring to this one and that one. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to go insert, and I'm going to insert a figure tag. Okay, and instead of the text here, I'm going to insert that image. So I'm going to get rid of the text. My cursor's right here, and I'm going to go insert image. I'm going to navigate to my image folder. And which one is it? Nope, that's not the one I want. Which one I want? I want this one. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and put my other one down here. I'm going to insert a figure tag again. Okay, instead of the text, I'm going to add the image. So I'm getting rid of the text over here. Hitting my delete key. I'm going to go insert image. And I'm going to look for teriyaki and add that one. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to float the figure tags to the left. Okay, so I'm going to add a selector for that right here. I'm going to go to my float properties and float them to the left. Okay, all right, maybe put a little bit of padding, like a little bit of room right here. So a little bit of padding to the left. Okay, looks pretty good. Maybe I can deal with that caption, so I'll add a selector for the caption. Go to text, and I'm going to make that text smaller. And maybe make it italic. Now this one is the one that's in the section, so I have to go and make a selector for the other one because that one is in the section. So I'll go ahead and put my cursor in the section. I'm sorry, the aside for the caption. I'll add a selector for it. And what I did 13 in italic. I'll do 13 in italic again. And style italic. Okay, it's looking, maybe I can even change the color of those. I'm going to go to the color. Maybe I'll do how's that look? Yeah, that's okay. What color was that? That was 8A8888. I'm going to do the same over here. It was 8A8888. I'm looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and preview, see what else I want to do. Okay, maybe I want to make this nav bar a different color. I think something darker would be better. I'm going to come back. Put my nav, background color, and maybe make it a lot darker. Okay, Everything's looking pretty good. Obviously, you want to change your own text up. Only thing I didn't deal with is the text in the footer. I'm going to go here and maybe instead of content for new footer goes here, I'll do 2020, and what's the name of this kitchen? Okay, Yoko's. Kitchen. Kitchen. All right. Maybe I want to move that away from the edge as well. So I'm going to go ahead and create a selector for it and add selector for it. You know, I'm going to delete that because I actually want to grab the paragraph tag, and right now it doesn't have a paragraph tag, it's just in the footer, so I'm going to make sure that I apply the paragraph tag to it. I need my property palette and make sure that it has a paragraph. Now I can actually target the paragraph in the footer, so I'm going to go ahead and create another selector. Okay. I can add some padding, move it away from the edge. 15. All right, I'm going to go ahead and preview again. Now, I don't have any rollover state here. That's a hover, so I'm going to add a hover as well. So I'm going to come back to CS Designer, and so I want nav link A, but this time I actually want hover, so I'm going to add a selector again. I'm going to do nav list A colon and choose hover, and I'll come up to the text properties. And just so it stands out, I'll make it red. And maybe I want to get rid of this underline here. And I'm going to go back to nav list anchor and get rid of the text decoration. So that disappears. All right, let me go ahead and preview again. Okay, it's looking pretty good. I think there's some other things that I could continue to do, but looking pretty good for now. Maybe you want a little bit more text here so that image wraps a little bit nicer. So maybe I'll just grab one of these lines. Copy it, period, and paste. Try that again. Edit, copy, paste, paste. That look a little bit better. Put a period in here. And preview one final time. All right, looking pretty good.